This girl's name was Hongjo, a civil servant in charge of the city's greenery. She had just been transferred to work here yesterday. That evening, on her way home from work, Hongjo was thinking about her upcoming days. At that time, she saw a blood moon in the sky, as if it were an omen of something bad that was about to happen. While she was looking up at the moon, in another place, a vlogger was live streaming. He stood in front of an ancient temple and told his online viewers that he was a messenger from hell. Then a dark shadow suddenly passed by. He was scared and stepped back, slipped and fell to his death. The next morning, local residents discovered the young man's body. They thought the temple was haunted, so they immediately went to the authorities to complain. They went to the greening department where Hongjo had just started working on her first day. The reason was because the construction department had told them to come here. The crowd kept shouting and demanding that they demolish the scary temple, but Hongjo's boss remained silent in the face of this situation. When the situation was becoming chaotic, Hongjo stepped out and took the initiative to suggest that she would solve the problem. In the heavy rain, Hongjo drove to the temple with her colleagues. The surrounding scenery was extremely gloomy. When Hongjo walked in front of a statue, she was very surprised to see that the statue could talk. Hongjo was confused and thought that she must have misheard, but because of that, she slipped and fell hard to the ground. Shinwoo accidentally came here and saw this scene. Hongjo initially thought Shinwoo was the messenger of hell who came to pick her up. Little did she know that from that moment on, their fates were tied to this temple. When Hongjo returned to the company, she immediately reported the progress to her superiors that the temple was privately owned, so it would be difficult for them to demolish it. Hongjo also did not have the owner's contact information. Although Hongjo's superior was difficult, he still instructed her on a way to ask for information from the people around. Through investigation, Hongjo discovered that the owner of the temple was named Shinwoo, whom she thought was the messenger of hell. Besides Shinwoo, there was also a mysterious shaman named Shaman Sonwol. Hongjo went to the lobby of the building where Shinwoo's company was located. When she took the elevator, she unexpectedly met him. Hongjo still thought Shinwoo was the messenger of hell, so she was extremely scared. She blamed him for not taking her away at that time, but instead following her like that. After a while of arguing back and forth, Hongjo realized that she had misunderstood him. Then she found out that this man was the one she was looking for, so she expressed her wishes, but he flatly refused. He said that no matter what, he would not agree to demolish the temple. If Hongjo dared to act on her own, Shinwoo would not leave her alone. Then Shinwoo sent Hongjo away, and he did not forget to remind her not to do anything. If he sued her, she would lose the case. Seeing Hongjo still standing there, Shinwoo immediately asked her if she wanted to go to the tea house with the handsome Grim Reaper. Hongjo remembered what she said yesterday and blushed in embarrassment and quickly ran out. The mission was not completed, so Hongji continued to be scolded by her superiors. So Hongjo turned her attention to the shaman Sonwol. However, the locals only knew that Shaman Sonwol had gone to the nursing home, but no one knew the exact address. To complete the job, Hongjo had to put aside her embarrassment and go see Shinwoo. Hongjo promised that as long as the shaman Sonwol did not agree to demolish the temple, she would not come back to bother him again. Seeing Hongjo's determination, Shinwoo did not understand, so he asked why. Hongjo only replied that it was because she felt lonely. Hongjo thought that if she completed the mission, her team leader would invite her to eat together. Ever since she transferred to the city hall, she had always eaten alone. She already ate alone at home, so she did not want to eat alone at work because then they would know that she was alone. Hongjo's efforts moved Shinwoo. He wrote down the address for her, and she asked if this was a nursing home. He replied that it was the Ministry of Labor. In other words, it was a counseling center for workplace bullying. Although Shinwoo teased Hongjo, he still wrote the nursing home's address on the back of the paper. According to that address, Hongjo found the shaman Sonwol. When the shaman Sonwol met Hongjo, she immediately understood everything. Shinwoo was working when he suddenly received a call from Hongjo. Hongjo sent Shinwoo a video of the shaman Sonwol agreeing to demolish the temple. To find out why, Shinwoo went to see the shaman Sonwol, but she told her grandson that he was the one who did it to Hongjo. The owner of the bloody hand caressed Shinwoo's cheek. Karma would not let him go, and he would struggle in terrible pain, but all the pain and disaster would eventually end because the owner of the wooden box appeared. Shinwoo met Hongjo again, and he remembered the words his grandmother had said. At night, Shinwoo went to a hidden corner and dug up a box. The shaman Sonwol said that the box had found its owner. At the same time, Hongjo finished demolishing the temple. She thought she would be recognized by her colleagues, but when she called her colleagues, she heard them eating and drinking. It was clearly just a gathering, but her colleagues lied to her. But because she didn't see it with her own eyes, she comforted herself that she had heard wrong. A while after leaving the company, Hongjo happened to see them returning from a party. Seeing that scene, she couldn't hold back anymore. She sat down and burst into tears. At that moment, Shinwoo appeared. Seeing Hongjo crying, Shinwoo asked her if she wanted him to stay or leave. Hongjo immediately replied that she wanted him to leave, but Shinwoo told her to go with him. Then he led her to a strange box. There was a lock on the box but no lock. Shinwoo said that the box had chosen Hongjo. The shaman Sonwol said that the only way for Shinwoo to escape the curse was for the owner of the ancient box to open it, so Shinwoo gave the box to Hongjo to handle. Shinwoo also told Hongjo that if she could open the box, she had to notify him immediately. After returning home with the box, Hongjo tried every way to open it but failed. As the days passed, the curse on Shinwoo became more and more serious. Shinwoo couldn't wait any longer when he saw that Hongjo still hadn't contacted him. He took the initiative to call her to ask why she hadn't opened it yet. Hongjo explained that she was very busy. At this time, a child's voice rang out next to Hongjo. Shinwoo immediately asked if she was eating alone on the swing again. That night, when Hongjo returned home, she video called to prove to Shinwoo that she had tried many ways but couldn't open the box. Shinwoo had no choice but to give her more time. One day, Hongjo climbed high to fix a broken light bulb, but unfortunately she lost her balance and fell to the ground. At that moment, the lock on the box suddenly opened by itself. Seeing that, Hongjo slowly opened the box. In addition to an amulet, there is also a book of ancient magic in the box. The author of the book is a female magician named Han Seo. It contains magic spells to help get rich, give birth to famous children, and of course, love spells. Hongjo immediately thought that if she followed it, she could become beautiful, have a son, and get the person she loves. However, she immediately thought that this was unbelievable. When she was about to leave, she remembered the section on getting a lover, so she turned back because she had a crush on a guy. She decided to test the magic in this book. The next day, Shinwoo accidentally met Hongjo again at work. It turned out that they worked in the same building without knowing it. At this time, Shinwoo immediately asked Hongjo about the progress of opening the box. When Shinwoo knew that the box had been opened, he really wanted to know what was inside. Hongjo recounted the contents of the book and the story of the author. She was a witch named Han Seo. When Shinwoo was about to ask more, Jae-kyung interrupted their conversation. When Shinwoo returned to the office, he looked up information about the witch Han Seo. According to historical records, the witch Han Seo really existed. This made Shinwoo believe Hongjo's words even more. That night after work, Shinwoo offered to take Hongjo home. His real purpose was to see the book. Hongjo reluctantly agreed to Shinwoo's pleas. When they got close to the house, Hongjo told Shinwoo to wait for her outside. However, when Hongjo was going to get the book, she suddenly met a drunk man with bad intentions. Luckily, Shinwoo arrived in time and rescued her. To express her gratitude, she invited him into her house. When Shinwoo opened the book, his expression became extremely serious. Because he had found a healing spell, that was exactly what he had always wanted. Hongjo was laughing and joking when she noticed the change in Shinwoo's expression. When she saw Shinwoo reading intently, Hongjo snatched the book and left. At this time, Shinwoo called Hongjo back and said that she could keep all the other charms, but he only asked her for one charm. Hongjo asked which charm Shinwoo wanted. Shinwoo said that she didn't need to worry because he didn't need a beauty charm. Hongjo said that she couldn't give him that charm. Shinwoo immediately said that Hongjo had agreed with him. The next day at work, Hongjo was still shunned by her colleagues. No matter what she did, they rarely called her. Hongjo didn't have any relatives around her, so she did everything alone. Unable to bear it anymore, she went to where her boss and colleagues were eating and drinking, and frankly expressed that she wanted to participate in their activities. Suddenly, the boss pulled Hongjo to sit next to him. Hongjo thought that it was a sign that everyone had accepted her, but in fact, because Shinwoo and other handsome young lawyers had just entered the restaurant, Hongjo's female colleagues immediately couldn't hide their admiration for him. Then Jae-kyung said that he admired Hongjo because she had a serious work attitude and a kind personality. Hongjo's face immediately turned red. At that moment, Shinwoo's straightforward words rang out again. Shinwoo asked why Jae-kyung praised her like that. Jae-kyung immediately said which civil servant wouldn't treat the complainant well. Then he excused himself and said that he had something to do and had to leave first. After that, everyone invited each other to go out somewhere else, but Hongjo was not invited. She stood there alone watching them leave. When Hongjo was about to leave, Jae-kyung suddenly appeared and called her back. He gave her a new shirt because he accidentally got her shirt dirty during the previous meal. Hongjo was confused and didn't know what to do. When he asked her why she always blushed, she accidentally revealed her true feelings. She said that she only blushed in front of people she liked. Hongjo thought that Jae-kyung also had feelings for her, but Jae-kyung coldly replied that he actually liked her too, but he just liked her for who she was. If someone deserved to be praised, he would post a compliment. If he soiled someone's clothes, he would buy them new ones. Then he would forget what just happened. He hoped that she wouldn't be embarrassed when she saw him again. Hongjo painfully said that she understood. Shinwoo saw everything that just happened, so he told Hongjo that she was the type who liked warm gestures and that she confessed her feelings without much thought. Hongjo felt embarrassed when she heard that. She admitted that he was right and that even small acts of kindness made her happy and excited because no one was kind to her. That's why she was like that. She even asked him angrily if he was satisfied. The two said goodbye to each other in an unhappy mood. The next day, Hongjo's confession was captured by someone and spread. Hongjo looked for Shinwoo to hear an explanation, but he said he didn't do it. Hongjo also called Jae-kyung to explain, but he didn't pick up. Hongjo got drunk and returned home. The homeowner who was traveling sent her a gift box. She opened the box and saw vegetables and milk inside. Seeing the milk, Hongjo remembered the content of the love spell. She realized that she had enough ingredients. Combined with the rejection yesterday, Hongjo decided to use magic to get love. So on the night of the full moon, she set up an altar to pray for love. She dropped in the prepared ingredients. Then she burned the spell paper. Hongjo didn't know that with each of her movements, Shinwoo, who was driving, began to show strange expressions. The rearview mirror mirror froze and a pair of bloody hands slowly rose up. Then it touched his face. Shinwoo looked very uncomfortable and scared, but he couldn't do anything but endure it. The next day at the company, Hongjo secretly went to the meeting room. Then Hongjo poured the enchanted water into Jae-kyung's cup. While she was waiting for him to drink, she was interrupted by a call from her boss. After answering the phone, she turned back to look at the cup. The water in the cup was half gone. Hongjo wasn't sure if Jae-kyung drank it because Shinwoo was sitting right next to him. Hongjo seemed worried, but her boss called her back urgently, so she had to return to the office. It turned out that someone had a car accident last night and knocked over all the flower pots on the side of the road. These flower pots were the ones Hongjo had worked hard to arrange all day yesterday. Hongjo tiredly went to Shinwoo to share about the incident, and she hoped to receive help. Hearing about this, Shinwoo was confused and didn't know what to say, because last night the red hands suddenly appeared, making him lose focus, causing the car to lose control and crash into a flower bed on the side of the road. Hongjo didn't know that the person who caused the accident was Shinwoo, so she kept scolding the culprit. She also affirmed that the culprit had been drinking and driving. Shinwoo immediately said that he wasn't drunk. Hongjo immediately thought that he had fallen asleep because a sober person couldn't do that. Shinwoo immediately said that the brakes weren't working. Hongjo wondered how Shinwoo knew if the culprit did it on purpose or not. Shinwoo said that the culprit said he didn't do it on purpose. Hongjo wondered if Shinwoo had met the culprit yet because he said that. Shinwoo replied that she was meeting that person. Only then did Hongjo know that Shinwoo was the one who caused the accident. She couldn't stand his unrepentant attitude. Seeing that Hongjo wanted to leave, Shinwoo advised her to take a leave of absence to go on a trip with him, but Shinwoo also gave a condition that Hongjo had to complete a ritual for him. Hongjo looked at the flower beds that were still waiting for her to fix, and she said she didn't have time, but Shinwoo advised Hongjo not to tire herself out too much because she could ask someone else to share the work. Hongjo thought about being bullied by her colleagues, so she decided to go see her boss. But before Hongjo could say anything, her boss had already approved her leave of absence. Because he had heard rumors that she had been rejected, he thought she needed time to calm down and heal. Hongjo reluctantly took a leave of absence, so she had to go on a trip with Shinwoo. While the two were packing their luggage, Shinwoo discovered that a page about love magic had disappeared from the forbidden book. This clearly showed that Hongjo had used this magic on someone. Hongjo initially refused to admit it, but when she tried to reach out to grab the book back, she accidentally fell on Shinwoo. Shinwoo's heart started beating faster for some reason, but Hongjo didn't notice at all. Shinwoo immediately said that with his peak memory, he could recite the entire book. If she didn't believe him, he was willing to read the entire book again to prove it. Hongjo finally admitted that she had used love magic. On the way, Hongjo kept thinking about the enchanted cup of water and wondered if Jae-kyung drank it. Shinwoo interrupted her, and the two began to argue. After they talked back and forth for a while, Hongjo fell asleep. Shinwoo suddenly felt his heart skip a beat as he watched Hongjo sleep. He even unconsciously adjusted her position. He realized he was doing something crazy, so he coughed lightly to hide his embarrassment. At the same time, Jae-kyung discovered that the video of Hongjo confessing to him had been leaked, so he went to the women who spread the video and reminded them that it was illegal. The two girls were scared and quickly deleted the video right in front of him. After a while of driving, Shinwoo and Hongjo arrived at the villa in the woods. Hongjo thought she would be able to relax, but Shinwoo said that there were only two of them here. If there was no one else here, it meant that they had to spend the night together. He asked her if she should be so excited. Hongjo did not give up and asked if being alone with her made him nervous. He replied that he was very nervous because he did not know what she would be able to do to him, because only she could perform magic, so even the ingredients had to be found by her own hands for them to be effective. This was Shinwoo's real purpose in taking Hongjo on the trip. Shinwoo revealed that the ingredients he needed to find were short-branched rhododendrons. Hearing this, Hongjo understood that Shinwoo wanted her to perform a healing spell. Shinwoo said that he was cursed, but Hongjo did not believe it. He ignored her and continued to patiently search for ingredients. Finally, Hongjo discovered a short-branched rhododendron on a cliff, but because of her limited height, she could not reach it. At this time, Shinwoo stepped behind and reached out to help Hongjo pick it. The two faces accidentally looked at each other at close range. A strange feeling began to arise between them. That night, Hongjo wore a white dress as required by the spell. When Hongjo appeared before Shinwoo, he was completely captivated by her beautiful appearance, but he quickly came to his senses and reminded her to start the ritual. Hongjo mixed the ingredients and wrote on Shinwoo's hand. Then she burned the paper with the healing spell written on it. The fire burned in front of them until the paper turned to ashes. As soon as the spell was completed, Shinwoo began to show strange signs. His heart was pounding, and he even said something meaningful. Shinwoo told Hongjo that she had better go inside. Seeing that Hongjo still didn't understand, Shinwoo reminded her to go inside again, but Hongjo said that she had to keep an eye on Shinwoo because she was curious about how the magic would affect him. Hongjo hoped that the curse on Shinwoo would be lifted. This also meant that her love magic would be successful. Thinking of this, Hongjo couldn't sleep, so she knocked on Shinwoo's door to check on his condition. However, when she knocked on the door, there was no response from the room. Because Shinwoo was sleeping at the moment and he had a strange dream. In the dream, there was a little girl who was was too short to pick fruit, and a little boy came to help her. The scene was similar to the morning when Shinwoo and Hongjo were looking for a short branched rhododendron. The next morning, Hongjo woke up and asked about Shinwoo's health because her love spell might be successful soon. Shinwoo replied that his body was not feeling well. Hongjo comforted Shinwoo that it might be a good sign. As they were about to leave, Hongjo received a call from Jae-kyung. He was worried because she didn't come to work. He even asked her out for dinner the next night. This made Hongjo even more convinced that the love spell had worked. Hongjo encouraged Shinwoo to persevere because the healing spell was about to take effect. She also reminded him to wait patiently. He was always in a hurry. It was the same when he opened the box. He kept urging her. This time he was in a hurry too. It wasn't written in the book that it would be cured after an hour or after a day, so he just waited because the love spell had actually taken effect. That meant the healing spell would also take effect. On the way back, Shinwoo saw Hongjo constantly checking her phone to wait for Jae-kyung's message, and he didn't know why he felt very upset. After sending Hongjo home, his mind was filled with unpleasant images of her love story. He felt uncomfortable without knowing why. The next day, the department head who had been away for a long time suddenly returned. He immediately announced the dinner party and strictly forbade anyone from asking for permission to be absent. Hongjo was very worried when she heard that because tonight was the important date she had been waiting for. Hongjo carefully arranged the date with Jae-kyung, but he agreed so easily. Hongjo excitedly told Shinwoo this news. She thought that the love magic must have worked. Normally, Jae-kyung often worked overtime, but when she asked to postpone the date, he said that they could meet tomorrow. Shinwoo then watched Hongjo leave with mixed emotions. The words Hongjo had just shared kept repeating in his head. That night, when Shinwoo returned home, he found his girlfriend waiting for him. She had brought him some necessary items. However, he realized that his feelings for her were gone. He did not hesitate to propose a breakup. In fact, she had noticed the signs long ago, but the speed of events made her quite surprised. Shinwoo had expressed his intention to break up many times before, but his girlfriend did not agree. Now she still did not agree to break up. She would give him some space to think more. Back at work, Shinwoo received a call from Hongjo. She wanted to know his health condition as a way to confirm the effect of the spell. Shinwoo advised Hongjo not to expect anything because he felt very bad both physically and mentally. To avoid thinking about Hongjo, Shinwoo forced himself to focus on work because only then could he divert his attention from her. At this time, the assistant came in to remind him about the meeting with the mayor, but Shinwoo flatly refused. The assistant was very upset and appeared very upset. He said that Shinwoo refused to meet the mayor. Jae-kyung also said he was busy because he had an appointment with someone else. As soon as he heard this, Shinwoo immediately interrupted the assistant. Shinwoo immediately asked where Jae-kyung had arranged to meet the other person. In the evening, when Hongjo arrived at the meeting place as promised to Jae-kyung, Shinwoo also secretly followed. Through the glass, Shinwoo saw Hongjo happily chatting with Jae-kyung. An indescribable feeling of frustration suddenly arose in his heart. Suddenly, Shinwoo suddenly remembered the content of the book that Hongjo had brought. Shinwoo immediately returned to the company and then watched the video from the security camera the day before. After watching it, Shinwoo realized that the person who drank the enchanted glass of water was him. All the strange feelings he had just had were because he had been hit by a love spell. Shinwoo waited for Hongjo in front of the house. Shinwoo saw Hongjo's confused expression and immediately understood that things were not as she imagined because Jae-kyung had never drunk the charmed water. Shinwoo told Hongjo that the love spell could not work on Jae-kyung. Hongjo wondered why Shinwoo was so sure. She asked if he thought she had been rejected again. Shinwoo denied it and said that Jae-kyung really liked her and he liked her too. Not only did Shinwoo show the video evidence of him drinking the charmed water, he also couldn't control his emotions. Shinwoo directly expressed her feelings for Hongjo. Hongjo was so confused that she almost went crazy. However, this scene made Shinwoo feel very heartbroken. He also told her not to make that sad expression because he wouldn't be able to control his emotions. Hongjo panicked. She didn't believe that two types of magic could work at the same time. If the curse on Shinwoo was lifted, then it would prove that the love charm would also work. Hongjo could only say that to Shinwoo for now. Shinwoo then let Hongjo go for now. When Shinwoo tried to leave, he couldn't move his legs. Hongjo asked Shinwoo what was wrong, and he replied that his legs weren't listening anymore because he missed her so much. He even made her take responsibility for this. After the two said goodbye, Hongjo recalled her meeting with Jae-kyung. Jae-kyung asked Hongjo to come over and tell her that although he looked friendly on the outside, his family wasn't happy. This meant that his image in front of everyone wasn't real, so he hoped she could find a better man. Although Hongjo was rejected, she was attacked by Shinwoo. The love spell was even more terrifying than she had imagined. Shinwoo's mind was filled with images of Hongjo. Shinwoo remembered that Hongjo had been shunned by her colleagues and he couldn't bear it, so Shinwoo stood in front of everyone and admitted that he was the one who broke the flower pot. Shinwoo said that he hoped everyone would stop bullying Hongjo. Shinwoo originally intended to help Hongjo solve the problem, but for her, this made her feel even more embarrassed. Shinwoo said those words in front of so many people, making Hongjo feel very embarrassed. Hongjo called Shinwoo aside to talk, but Shinwoo not only didn't feel embarrassed, he also thought that he hadn't done well enough. Shinwoo hoped that he could be closer to Hongjo. Hongjo immediately told Shinwoo to calm down because he was Nayeon's boyfriend. Shinwoo immediately immediately said that they had broken up, so he felt more miserable than ever. Shinwoo tried to control his emotions. In Shinwoo's mind, sadness should have been dominant, but now joy was dominant. It was Hongjo who drove Shinwoo crazy. His serotonin and dopamine were both high because of her. Hongjo asked what she should do. Shinwoo told her not to blame herself because he would be heartbroken. Shinwoo finally suggested the idea of lifting the curse. The two quickly agreed. Hongjo suggested that Shinwoo drink more water. She thought that by urinating, he could eliminate the water containing the love charm in his body. Shinwoo accepted Hongjo's suggestion. After drinking 32 glasses of water, Shinwoo suppressed the urge to go to the bathroom to find Hongjo. He then held back to go to the bathroom to help her carry things. The scene of the two of them playing around was seen by Shinwoo's ex-girlfriend. Shinwoo said that he couldn't pee out of the water that contained the love charm, and then he said he had to go to the restroom immediately. Before leaving, Shinwoo didn't forget to apologize to Hongjo because he couldn't help her carry the things. Hongjo was shocked by Shinwoo's appearance of not being able to go to the bathroom. Shinwoo also said that even if he had to go to the bathroom urgently, he still wanted to stay and look at her a little longer. Hongjo asked if there was a problem with his eyes, but Shinwoo said that his eyes were probably emitting love lightning. That night when Hongjo returned home, she met the landlord. The landlady was planning to rent out the first floor, so she asked if Hongjo had anyone suitable. When the landlady asked, surprisingly, the first person Hongjo thought of was Shinwoo, not Jae-kyung. At this time, Shinwoo once again had strange dreams. In his dreams, there was always a girl he didn't know appearing. Another day passed. In the afternoon after work, Hongjo was about to go home when she discovered that someone was following her. She felt panic and wanted to go home quickly, but the faster she walked, the closer the man in black followed. When Hongjo turned a corner, she unexpectedly bumped into Shinwoo. Hongjo told Shinwoo about someone following her. After listening, Shinwoo took Hongjo to find that person. After a while of searching, they did not find anyone suspicious. However, at this time Shinwoo saw the wallpaper on Hongjo's phone. Shinwoo was surprised to realize that Hongjo when he was young looked exactly like the girl in his dream. Hongjo did not understand, so she snatched the phone back from Shinwoo's hand. After that, the two decided to go find the shaman Son Wall to lift the curse. When she learned of their intentions, she talked to Shinwoo privately first. She said that lifting the curse did not depend on Shinwoo but on Hongjo. Then she met Hongjo privately. Before Hongjo could say anything, shaman Son Wall spoke up about Hongjo's father's death and that she often went to the sea alone to remember him. With her ability, shaman Son Wall saw the hidden sadness in Hongjo's heart. Hongjo was surprised that shaman Son Wall had seen all of that. Shaman Son Wall said that Hongjo's father had saved 2 lives, so he was very blessed. Therefore, Hongjo did not need to be so heartbroken. After Hongjo expressed her gratitude, she clearly stated the purpose of the meeting. After listening, shaman Son Wall revealed to Hongjo a way to lift the curse. When Hongjo went out, Shinwoo kept asking about the situation, but he did not know what shaman Son Wall had said that made Hongjo unhappy. Hongjo also did not want to tell Shinwoo the way to lift the curse, even though Shinwoo kept following her. Hongjo just said that she really could not say it. Shinwoo then guessed the way to lift curse with a kiss. In the stories of the Frog, Prince and Beauty, the Beast and Snow White, Shrek, all curses can be broken with a kiss. Hongjo denied and told Shinwoo to go home and sleep. Shinwoo then took Hongjo home and said goodbye to her, but he felt uneasy, so he begged her not to appear in his dreams. But then he changed his mind and wanted her to come into his dreams. Shinwoo reminded himself to stay awake. When Shinwoo got home, he couldn't bear his curiosity and video called Hongjo. Shinwoo expressed that if Hongjo gave him a few hints, he wouldn't bother her anymore. Hongjo gave Shinwoo the first few letters to guess. With this little clue, Shinwoo then went crazy with all kinds of speculations. He couldn't figure it out by himself, so he created a rather awkward situation. His card, although very expensive, couldn't be swiped. Hongjo quickly ran to apologize to the bus driver and took her card and swiped it for Shinwoo. Finally, Hongjo arrived at the beach. It turned out that she came here to commemorate her father. That day was the anniversary of Hongjo's father's death, the man who disappeared in the middle of the ocean. Hongjo intended for Shinwoo to greet her father, but unexpectedly, he said that he wasn't Hongjo's boyfriend. He is not a strange person, but it is said that Shinwoo is Hongjo's destiny. Then Shinwoo sat from afar observing Hongjo. When Hongjo looked at Shinwoo, he also looked back. At this moment, Shinwoo finally understood what the first letter represented. He told her that he found the answer. That is, their fates are inseparable, and the curse is completely unbreakable. Hongjo could not accept that fact, but he told her to accept the arrangement of fate. Moreover, in the current situation, Hongjo also had some responsibility. Then Shinwoo kept complaining about Hongjo, making her almost crazy. Hongjo hoped that Shinwoo would not only think about accepting fate, but also need to think of a way to fight against it. Shinwoo also promised that he would try his best to fight against fate, but on the way back, Hongjo fell asleep on Shinwoo's shoulder. This made him suddenly lose all determination to resist fate. She even said in her sleep that the scent on his body was very pleasant. So the next day, Shinwoo sprayed more perfume on himself than usual. While Hongjo was working, she suddenly received an urgent mission. A bulletin board in the park was stained with blood. When Hongjo and her superior arrived, she found out that it was chicken blood. The superior thought it was someone's joke, but Hongjo felt something strange here. Then Shinwoo called Hongjo into the office. At first, Hongjo thought Shinwoo was looking for her because of the bloody bulletin board, but Shinwoo said that he just wanted to test whether Hongjo would come when he called her. Shinwoo also reminded her that Hongjo shouldn't have come because she told him to fight fate. She shouldn't have run to him like this and made things more complicated. Hearing this, Hongjo couldn't hold it in anymore and scolded that Shinwoo's illness was making things more complicated. Shinwoo continued to brag to Hongjo about his beauty. He also said that she now had a rare opportunity because it was not easy for others to look down on him. Shinwoo meant that Hongjo was standing and looking down at him. He also asked her how he looked from above. People said that his long eyelashes made his eyes attractive. Faced with Shinwoo, who kept flirting with her, Hongjo was helpless. That night, when Shinwoo arrived at the bar, he received a call from his girlfriend. He did not want to pick up the phone, but the friend sitting next to him snatched the phone. After hearing the friend's phone call telling Shinwoo that something bad had happened to Nayeon, he worriedly drove to her place. But when he got inside, he found out that she had tricked him. Ever since Shinwoo suggested breaking up, Nayeon had been thinking about proposing. Now, she is prepared for the proposal. Nayeon expressed her wish, but Shinwoo's expression did not change. He was about to say that her father would not agree, but Nayeon took the initiative to arrange for the two families to meet. After dinner, Nayeon held Shinwoo's hand and went for a walk. People around looked at them and thought they were a beautiful couple. Nayeon also thought they were a perfect match. But Nayeon doesn't know that the man she's holding hands with actually drank water, had love charms, someone else's love potion, and now his heart is filled with the image of another woman. Nayeon wanted to kiss Shinwoo, but at that moment his phone rang. While Shinwoo answered the phone, he saw a woman who looked exactly like Hongjo passing by. After Shinwoo met Hongjo and learned that she had not been there, he thought it was an illusion caused by the curse. Shinwoo told Hongjo that he called his girlfriend Nayeon, but others called her a goddess. Shinwoo didn't understand why he liked Hongjo when he had a beautiful girlfriend like Nayeon. He asked her again if she really wanted him to fight fate. Hongjo replied that of course she did. She didn't want to be destined to be with him. Hearing that, Shinwoo begged Hongjo to stay out of his sight. Shinwoo meant that he wanted to cut ties with Hongjo, but what Shinwoo didn't know was that Nayeon had known Hongjo before. They were actually in the same high school class. Hongjo was the one who was bullied by Nayeon. Hongjo thought that Nayeon considered her a close friend, but Nayeon actually only considered Hongjo a servant. Nayeon even blamed Hongjo for stealing Minho from her boyfriend. Back in reality, Shinwoo and Hongjo took the elevator together. The awkward atmosphere filled the air. Shinwoo couldn't stand it anymore, so he asked Hongjo out. He wanted to rebel against fate, but every time he couldn't see Hongjo, Shinwoo couldn't stop thinking about her. Because of his pride, he couldn't say it. He could only say that she actually liked him, but Hongjo argued that Shinwoo wasn't her type of boyfriend. He immediately asked her exactly what aspect of him she didn't like. Hongjo said that Shinwoo was too tall and handsome, and that he was too confident. Actually, both of them were a bit arrogant, so they hadn't admitted their feelings for each other. Then Hongjo wanted to prepare a gift for Jaekyung's moving, so she stayed up all night decorating the yard. When Jaekyung saw that, he took the initiative to invite Hongjo to dinner. This surprise made Hongjo very excited, but she didn't know if she was really happy or not. When Shinwoo returned home, he thought about Hongjo again. Even though Shinwoo said he wouldn't call Hongjo, he still couldn't help himself. After dinner with Jaekyung, Hongjo heard Shinwoo calling. Because Jaekyung was next to him, Hongjo didn't dare to pick up the phone. When Hongjo's phone kept ringing, Jaekyung tactfully left. Hongjo had no choice but to answer Shinwoo's phone. It turned out that he just wanted to hear her voice. At the same time, he asked what she was doing at the moment. At this time, Jaekyung went over to invite Hongjo to drink more beer. Hearing Hongjo's tone change to a gentle tone, Shinwoo immediately guessed that she was with the man she liked. The next day, Shinwoo couldn't help but call Hongjo again. At this time, Hongjo was eating fast food with a boy. The boy saw Hongjo hanging up repeatedly, so he told her not to mind him. Hongjo agreed with the boy's words, but after that, Shinwoo didn't call again. Hongjo took the initiative to look at her phone again. She immediately got angry and said that he could call as much as he wanted because she wouldn't even answer the phone. But the boy immediately said that Hong said she wouldn't care, but her eyes were still on the phone screen. Even though Shinwoo didn't call, he texted Hongjo. He also texted her not to read his text messages and that she didn't need to reply to them because that would shake him. Hongjo ignored Shinwoo all day. Shinwoo, who had never drunk before, now sat drinking alone. Shinwoo was very confused about his feelings for Hongjo. Shinwoo didn't know if his love for Hongjo was real or if it was just a fake love created by the curse. Thinking of this, Shinwoo couldn't control himself and took a big gulp of alcohol. It was the first time Shinwoo drank alcohol, but he was already drunk. Shinwoo remembered what Hongjo told him when they returned from the sea last night. Back then, she told her father that she had dropped out of school. She thought he would be very angry with her, but he told her to do whatever she wanted. He also told her that since she wasn't going to school anymore, they should go on a trip. Then her father took her to the river to fish and catch snails. They had a great time, and the two children played ball next to them. The two children accidentally fell into the river. Her father jumped in to save them but was swept away by the current. Hongjo believes that if she hadn't dropped out of school, if she hadn't ignored the bullying, the incident wouldn't have happened and her father wouldn't have died. It seems that Na-yeon's bullying of Hongjo caused her to drop out of school and her father to die because of it. Shin-woo had arrived at some point. When Shin-woo got out of the car, he realized that he had told the driver to take him to Hongjo's house. Hongjo was looking at her call log and saw that Shin-woo hadn't called her back. Hongjo also had some strange feelings, but because of her pride, she did not admit her feelings for him. The doorbell suddenly rang. When Hongjo found out that Shin-woo had been drinking, she showed special concern. Hongjo did not realize this. Seeing Hongjo's anxiety, Shin-woo unconsciously grabbed her hand. But at that moment, Jae-kyung appeared. Jae-kyung asked Shin-woo why he had an affair. At the same time, Jae-kyung reminded Hongjo to be careful. He told her to meet a good person, not someone who already had a girlfriend. Shin-woo told Jae-kyung not to worry too much, because this feeling was not real. Shin-woo did not know that those words had hurt Hongjo. On Shin-woo's way home, he suddenly felt nauseous. Hongjo had no choice but to stop the car. Hongjo asked Shin-woo if she was free on the 19th because she had found a way to break their curse. But Shin-woo only asked Hongjo one question: had she never liked him before? Although Hongjo replied that it was true, her face turned red. Shin-woo questioned Hongjo, saying that when she was angry, her face would turn red. Shin-woo thought that Hongjo was lying. Hongjo denied that she lied to him. Shin-woo said that he had never drunk before, so he didn't know, but now he seemed to know what would happen after drinking. Hongjo innocently asked Shin-woo what he would do after drinking. Shin-woo frankly replied that he would want to kiss the person next to him. The next morning when Shin-woo woke up, he found himself wearing only underwear. He tried to remember what happened last night, but he couldn't remember.